excited to be here, and as I look across the room, I just want to comment on how important things like this are in networking, because Casey in the back, the dude in the room, Casey introduced me to Aaron. He introduced me to Mary Stratton. I know these ladies from a couple of other networking, ish from college, but also from networking events. So, just a testimony to how important luncheons like this are, especially for professional women. Our time is very valuable. I'm going to do my best to make the most of these next few minutes with you. I do also want to just kind of set the tone. I told Mary Stratton when I came in this morning, this is going to be a little workshop-esque, which is, I hope is okay. What we're doing may not apply to all of you. I know that I have been in seasons where I've been, the only marketer in a company of 30. I've been on a marketing team of 160. I have started my own business, literally from the ground up. So I will, my goal is to give everybody a little something, but there are a handful of people in the room who could probably do this a lot better than I can today. So I want this to be workshop, open. If you have thoughts, if you have questions, please feel free to raise your hand, I want this to be a good learning experience for everybody. So I'll give you a little background on me. Let me see if I need a clicker. There we go. All right, good. All right, so here are some highlights. So I spent a lot, I just think this picture is kind of funny because this is our wallpaper in my home in the 90s. I spent a lot of the very first part of my career at a startup that was, our client was utility decision makers, so from electric and gas and water utilities. We put a cellular embedded module inside an electric meter. So the electric guy that comes around your house, whatever, it's all done through cell phone technology. You don't even have to get a meter reader, which is really cool. And then I moved to a telecommunications. So that was kind of a telecom company, and then I moved to a telecom company. So I've always liked communicating. I guess that's the bottom line here, clearly, from this picture. But my journey to entrepreneurship kind of looked like this, and this is kind of a testament to our paths are all, I think bound by open doors, and we take them or we don't. But I chose to take an open door that was presented to me. I was also faced with an opportunity to go to graduate school at University of Alabama on the same day that I was offered a full-time job at a company called SmartSync, a tech startup here in Jackson. I ended up calling the University of Alabama and saying, hey, I got a really good job offer. I'd like to work, but I still want to come to grad school. And they said, you can defer your enrollment for a year and come next year. So I did that. Again, it was a door that was still open for me, which was awesome. I worked for a year. I was the only marketing person at the time. Also worked with a Bank Plus employee at SmartSync, which is kind of cool. Lee Laird, he's awesome. Then they were purchased after about 7 years of working there. Our team grew, which was really cool, but we were still creating websites on the fly, figuring out how to do graphics. Social media wasn't a thing back then. But a lot of, bootstrapping and figuring out what we were doing. Then I moved to Itron, multi-billion-dollar company based in Washington. They acquired SmartSync. Then moved to a small telecom company like I told you. Then my husband took a job as a worship pastor in Laurel. And so for a season, we just needed to pay the bills. And I was like, I'm just going to start a blog to meet friends because I don't know anybody. And it turned into a business. Mm-hmm. So again, we call ours, many of you in the room would identify yourselves as an accidental marketer. I, by all means, although I do have a somewhat of a marketing degree or 2 marketing degrees, I'm still, we still kind of happen upon things that open doors for us. So the Small Town Creative was a little LLC I started in Laurel, Mississippi. And then when I moved back here, after switching back to some corporate time, I decided it was my turn to really do the thing. And hired some ladies that are at the table here. These two, Adara and Grace, are my right-hand women. And we're growing a successful marketing firm for tech companies. So that's a little bit of my background, but I do want to know how many of you in the room have a marketing degree? Okay. How many of you in the room are in a marketing role? Okay, so a lot more people are in a marketing role that maybe don't have degrees. So hopefully this will be helpful. I've kind of already introduced myself. I have 2 boys. My husband's a worship pastor in the Reservoir. I've been in tech startups for the last 18 years, specifically in telecom and utility companies, and we specialize in growing tech companies. So that's what we do. 15 states. A lot of clients, and we decided, again, you're allowed to pivot, you're allowed to change your mind about stuff. We decided serving everybody, and then in January of this year, we decided we're just going to serve tech. So we serve mostly tech companies. As far as I'll take on clients if they're a good fit, but as far as who we pursue as clients, it's predominantly tech companies. I'm going to give a nod to Erin in the back. Erin, wave your hand. She is a certified story brand guide. So again, she could teach this part better than I can. But there's a book called Building a Story Brand. If you haven't read it, it's by Donald Miller. Fantastic book and a great framework for developing your brand message, which part of what I teach is how important your messaging is. I think a lot of times we do it backwards. We want to go get on social media with the deliverables because it's cooler and it looks better and it's something that's maybe a little bit sexier. But really, your foundational messaging is very important. But the truth is the role of a marketer is more important than ever right now because we have more clutter than ever before. I mean, if you know how hard it is to get somebody to stop their scroll, I mean, it is a true challenge. And so the content that we're producing, what we're doing as marketers is really, truly more important than ever. I would highly recommend you listen to or read this book. It's a really great book. But one of the things, some of the things that we've seen, and these are some statistics from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, but this is why it's more important than ever. If you're starting a side hustle, if you're in a young business or not, these are important things to know. In the first year, 20% of small businesses fail. In the second year, 30% of small businesses fail. By the fifth year, half of small businesses have failed. And within the first 10 years, 70% of small businesses fail. So, maybe it's funding, maybe it's bad business model, but I truly believe that a good part of why businesses fail is because they don't know who they are. And so building your brand message is a really important part. Again, that book kind of gives you some practical tips. Also, Erin in the back does brand messaging sessions. So if your company is looking for that, she's really great at that. But I feel like if you boil it down to three things, there are three things that people do, and we all inherently do this, I think, to validate a brand. We go to their website. If their website's garbage, we move on to find a better looking website. Because if they can't figure their website out, then I don't know that I trust them with my business, right? Then they look at social media. Is it relevant? Is it current? And a lot of people, say, oh, I don't need a website. I've got social media. Well, you don't, that's a whole nother conversation, but you don't own Facebook. You own your website. So you can control the narrative on your website. We can't always control the narrative on social media, especially when people get to commenting. So people look at your website. They look at social media. Are you relevant? Was the last time you posted January 2021? If that's the case, shut the Facebook down if you're not going to post on it. And then also look at Google reviews. You all probably see a negative review can severely impact your business. I'll give a couple tips that are Google specific here in just a minute. But those are just three quick things that you can kind of audit the health of your brand with website, social media, and Google reviews. These are the three, in my opinion, most important things, obviously, as far as outward facing that you need to kind of do to check things. But again, kind of going back to messaging, I feel like the key to all of it, to get to the point where your social is consistent, your Google reviews are positive, and your website is in a good place, is soil. The reason I call this business the business growers is because I feel like this part right here, the dirt, is, again, the least sexy thing. We don't really want to sit there and focus on our brand message, but we also want to put stuff on the website. Well, if you put a message on your website that's not relevant to your buyer, what's the point? So I feel like the key to successful growth is messaging, and a lot of businesses struggle to grow because they don't have that part figured out. So if you confuse, you lose is a quote. Again, kind of going back to that brand messaging, we kind of talk he says in the book, Garen, you can probably correct me, but he says, we talk at a 10 sometimes because we're in the business. We know everything about the business. So we kind of speak, especially in technology. We see this a lot with our clients. You speak in a way that you understand, but doing the work to make sure, bring in some of your customers, ask them, does this make sense to you? Does this resonate with you? Host, feed them lunch and host a dozen or so of your customers to ask them these questions to make sure that what you have on your website, what you have in your marketing collateral, make sure it makes sense to them. If it doesn't make sense to them, then you need to have another conversation. So here's the way that I've kind of, I was like about to fall asleep a couple years ago, and I feel like I like kind of to visually compartmentalize things a lot. So this really helped me, and especially the way that I talk to my clients, to kind of identify what phase of growth your company's in. I call it know, grow, scale, but really, try to identify this know. Everybody wants to be here, by the way. Everybody wants to be blowing and going, making the money, streamlined, all that kind of stuff. But again, going back to what's most important, your brand message. I'm going to go through this. Hey there. I'm going to go through kind of the steps of each, but you kind of, as I'm talking through this, I'd love for you to think about, okay, where is my company here? Have we already got some of the foundational stuff identified or not? Do we have constant communication with our customer base? Do we have ongoing social media content? Do we have a good website? That's kind of what falls in here. And this, I'm not going to touch on a whole lot because these are more sophisticated things like ads and lead generation programs that are when you're really ready to blow it out of the water. We'll talk about that some. But so here are some DIY marketing tips. Okay, again, some of you, everybody in this room probably knows what Canva is. I'm going to talk about Canva today. There are probably things that you've either already done, maybe not done, weren't sure about. So I'm going to give you the lay of the land in terms of if you're DIYing it, trying to figure out what to do. Here's kind of the way that I categorize things. So the foundational components. Logos, this is the no phase that I was just talking about. Logos, branding, graphics. If your business card looks different than your website, and your website looks different than your flyer, and your flyer looks different than your social media header, we need to assess. You're still in this space. We really need visual consistency. There's a reason my 2-year-old knows that we're at Target every time we pull up. Target, because he knows the red ball and the, whatever it's called. So, visual alignment is very important in this phase, and a lot of times if somebody tells me, oh yeah, we have brochures, we're good there, and then they show me and it looks a hot mess, this is where we fall in that category. Your messaging, like we've been talking about, visual alignment, branding, and graphics. So here are some, again, use your notepads, here's some resources that I like to use for all of this. For logos, Canva, you can kind of do, which I'll talk about Canva in a minute, we use it more for different things, but again, y'all remember I DIY'd it for a really long time. I had a business that was just me and my bank account. That was it. So Fiverr has good options for logos. It's people all over the world that are designing it. You kind of bid on it. Some of you may be familiar. They also do really great and this is not to take away from anybody local. By all means, make an investment in somebody local if you can. We definitely, I feel like I should have prefaced everything with that. Support local business at all costs. If you are on a budget and you need something fast, this is a good option. Fiverr for any branding materials. Also, I'll show this in just a minute, but when you go to start a business or you're trying to create a new website, make sure you're going to a resource like GoDaddy to buy your domain first. Sometimes we'll create the name of the business. We'll get an LLC with Mary Margaret and Sarah.
and I have a question on that.
Yeah.
Do you own the logo?
You do, yes. You own the rights to it, yes. Mm-hmm.
I use Fiverr.
Okay.
Is that the problem later if you want to trademark it?
I was about to say, but yeah, they don't protect you, so you still need to go to an attorney.
I use Fiverr and y'all trademarked it for me.
Yes, that's what y'all do. We didn't use Fiverr, but
a little extra, but it's
yes.
$50.
Yes, they'll give you right. Yeah, that's a good point. Make sure you get the rights to it and that you own it afterwards. But again, local is great. But if you're in a pinch and you want, I will say it's valuable because you get a lot of options. A lot of times, if you're doing like a bidding process, you get a lot of options on Fiverr, so it's really nice. But I've seen people start a business, get an LLC, do all the legal work, and then realize there's no domain available for their business. So they have to go with like a dot. Something random. So I would just say if you're starting a new business, make sure you can get on GoDaddy and find something. I kind of let GoDaddy sometimes, or a similar, service, kind of guide me in what my name is going to be, by looking at what's available. You want something memorable, not very long on your domain. Also, defont.com. If you're looking for some font choices, it's a cool resource for cool fonts, and you can a lot of times upload those fonts in Canva. DAFONT, and then I use Creative Market. They've got gone are the days where you have to pull graphics out of your rear end. Sorry, that's on video, if that's okay. To create a PowerPoint presentation for your boss or for yourself. They have on Creative Market, they have wonderful, beautiful PowerPoint presentations that you can download, insert your own photos, really great. My only tip would be just make sure that if you're downloading something from here, that it's consistent with the entire, the colors are the same, the look is the same. You don't want to get like 10 different things going on. So again, secure your domain first. You can use those resources for logo design, finding the perfect font, PowerPoint templates, letterhead, if you want letterhead and you don't really want to take the time. I mean, you kind of get to that place where you're like, what's my time worth these days? Can I just download a letterhead that somebody else did? That's where we are. Pre-made brochures, flyers, corporate presentations, annual reports. Always look for the coupon. Pro tip, retailmenot.com has the 99-cent domain for a year on GoDaddy, so use it. Just Google coupon, whatever, and just see if there is one. That's just a little pro tip. It's free. Okay, so you set the foundation. Your look and feels consistent. You have a logo. You have your domain. You have your messaging. You feel like you really know who you are. Now, what do we do? Website. There's a difference between a website and a website that works for you. If you are not getting leads on your website, you probably need to go back to messaging, branding. Also, if your website is not mobile friendly, this is a big problem. If you need a website, I got a girl for that. But you need a website that works for you. If it's not working, it's time to kind of evaluate why. You need a content strategy. What does this mean? What are the themes that we're talking about? What are the problems that we're solving? And how are we talking about this on a regular basis? We have a little worksheet we'll do in just a minute. This is social media, making sure you're active. And then this includes what I consider search engine optimization kind of falls in this phase. If you're beyond the grow phase, you're ready for some of this. Search engine optimization is usually the thing that makes people's head explode when I'm in a room. So we'll get to some simple things there. Here are some DIY tools. Again, local business as much as you are able, but if you are literally bootstrapping it on your own, starting your own business, these are good resources. Pro tip though, you get what you pay for. So if the logo is $6, it might be too good to be true. I actually have a friend who is like stuck on her logo and she keeps sending me the native file trying to get me to change it. And I'm like, I don't know what this glow is that your guy put behind it. She got it on Fiverr, she paid like $10 and she can't get the glow off the back of it. And I'm like, I don't even know what I'm working with here. So you get what you pay for on these. You make sure that you get somebody that you can look at the reviews on here of what people have reviewed them. But again, Fiverr and Creative Market, and actually Etsy, you can go to Etsy and get a Squarespace. I prefer, and this is maybe in the weeds a little bit, but if you're looking at Squarespace and Wix, if you're doing it yourself, Wix, if you just so you know, if you change it one place, you got to change it everywhere. Got to go change it on mobile, switch to mobile and make the change. Squarespace, you don't have to do that. I think Squarespace is a better platform for DIY. I'm a WordPress girl, so if I'm going to do a website myself, I'm always going to do WordPress, but that's kind of a little harder sometimes for people to do their own WordPress site. So if you're going to do one that you're changing yourself and you need it to be easy, I would recommend Squarespace. One great thing, you can go to Etsy. They have templates that you can choose in Squarespace and instructions on how to make your website look like the one that you see. So it is very great. I actually did my Small Town Creative website on Squarespace with a template. So it's a really great tool. Again, Fiverr, you can use somebody else to do your website or local business. But yeah, you get what you pay for. Okay, social media tools. Again, a lot of you may be familiar with these, but I'll just tell you kind of what we like to use. Obviously, Canva is great. But again, if you can stay away from a custom like this is my Canva graphic today. New Canva graphic tomorrow, new Canva graphic tomorrow, and then you look at a social media feed and it's got different colors, that's not what we want. So you want to go to Etsy first or to Creative Market and purchase a Canva social media bundle. And it gives you a bundle that has a variety of, and they basically show you how to put it straight in Canva. And then you can create your graphics from there, customize them, put your logo on them from there. Pexels and Unsplash, are two really great resources for photos. I also use Shutterstock. Pexels and Unsplash are free. Shutterstock is not. Adobe Stock is not. And then if we're trying to look really good for a supervisor, trying to really make ourselves stand out, you need, a software that can auto schedule. And I'm a big believer in, and I know you probably have all experienced this, but if you don't pre-plan your content, you're not going to post it. I mean, how many of us have experienced that? Something gets in the way, you get busy, and you had a great idea back a month ago, but you haven't posted it yet, and it's already the end of the month. I'm going to show you today how to plan 30 days of content in 10 minutes or less, probably less because I'm probably getting long-winded, but show you how to plan content. And if you remember anything here today, plan your whole month worth of content in one day at the end of every month, if you can. Some of you that are in retail, it's not as easy to do because you have new shipments coming in, new things to look at. But you can plan some evergreen content that you know about, and then you can add that stuff in later. Buffer, Hootsuite, Loomly. Our team has used a couple of different tools that are more for agencies at scale. So Sprout Social is amazing, but it's very expensive. Cloud Campaign's amazing. It's a little bit more expensive. These are on the cheaper side, Loomly. Do y'all have any others that you use? Do y'all use Hootsuite? But the good thing about these is they're called, what'd you say?
I don't plan.
You don't plan. Yeah. So the good thing about these, though, especially if you are maybe internal marketing at a corporation and you have people that want to see what you're doing, these tools provide analytics, which are really good to be able to present. So, and these are just some examples. If you are doing it without a tool like Hootsuite and you need to know, okay, what do I need to look at? Like what are important things to know about my social media accounts? Just make sure that you're always looking at engagement, impressions. So impressions are sets of eyes on your content. Engagement, the number of people actually engaging with your content, and then your followers. So this is a screenshot from my phone, but on Instagram, if you have a professional account, you can go to your insights and look at these numbers. And then this is again on my phone, but they have it. You can go to your insights on Facebook as well and look at these three things: your reach, your engagement, and your likes. And just look over, like whenever you're planning your content for the month, look over these three numbers and make sure that we're seeing growth. If you're not, then start asking yourselves those questions. Great resources for social media, content planning if you're planning for your company. HubSpot has a calendar every month that tells you what the national holidays are. If you type in national holiday social media calendar, you'll find them from a lot of different places, but HubSpot's just one that I like to use. This is really helpful for our agency because we're managing 20 social media accounts. So it's really helpful to be able to use some of these. Obviously, ones that are appropriate for you. Like for example, we'll do this in just a minute. So HubSpot's a good resource there. Okay, let's get it on everybody's table. You may not have one for everybody, but y'all can share and plan. We're going to do a little exercise, all right? And if this doesn't apply to you or you don't do social media for a company, just help your neighbor. But I'm about to give you a social media plan for October. You're welcome. Okay, so everybody get out your worksheet. It's a very sophisticated worksheet. All right. So this is October. Everybody put October. And again, if you don't do social media for your company, then just help your neighbor. We're putting October on here. All right. We're going to go back to these days. Do any of these days, are they relevant to you? Okay, I see tacos and I see coffee. Lindsay. I mean, does any, okay, see, these are the international holidays from HubSpot. So you've got International Coffee Day on the 1st. We're all working women. Surely the people that you serve in your business drink coffee. So that's a good one. Techies Day, any of you work in tech companies? Techies Day. World Animal Day, if you work for a vet. Teachers Day, which we can all, I mean, this applies to everybody. Thank a teacher. World Teachers Day. Great community building. Taco Day, bring the office tacos and take pictures. That's a great opportunity to do that. World Taco Day, or do something in your office. If you have a monthly lunch, make it on Taco Day. World Smile Day, I mean, who can't use that? World Mental Health Day, sign me up, yep. Day of the Girl, if you serve women, that's a great opportunity. Of course, you might want to look some of these up to make sure that you're not, I don't know what Day of the Girl means, but dessert, surely it's good, right? Dessert Day. Okay, so I want y'all to literally go in on these days and put it on go ahead and put them in, any of these that apply. Dessert Day, Taco Day. Boss's Day is the 16th. Boss's Day. Thank your boss. World Food Day. I mean, Lindsay, come on. Statistics Day. You could put a statistic about your industry. That's on the, can y'all see this? On the 20th, World Statistics Day. Get to know your customers day. Ask your customer to comment something about themselves. That's a good one. Greasy Foods Day. Lindsay, oh my gosh. October is made for you. And then checklist day and, of course, Halloween. Okay, so how many days y'all get? Everybody, let's see, 14th. Dessert day. Oh, yeah. Did anybody not get any days? We all got days. Okay, good. All right, the next thing, the next thing I want to do is everybody put at least once every 7 days, put behind BTS, behind the scenes. And on that day, you're going to post, so once a week, BTS, behind the scenes. You're going to post a video or a photo of you showing your process or somebody at their desk or what it looks like a day in the life of your job, behind the scenes, BTS. Put that one time, days 1 to 7, one time, days 8 to 20. So 3 times a month, behind the scenes. Just spread it out. Don't put it right beside each other. All right? Next, inspirational. You can put inspire. A quote, something that really gets you going in the morning. Something that you think, and when I say gets you going, I mean your customer. Like, think about your customer every time you're posting, not yourself. But something inspirational, put that once a week. Inspire, inspire, inspire. This can be a favorite quote. This can be something that encouraged you. This can be a fun fact that somebody might not know, something inspirational. Okay? Also, put face, somebody's face. At least once a week, post a picture of somebody's face, and if it's yours, if it's got to be yours, it's got to be yours. You need people, the whole reason people like social media is because we're nosy by nature. We like to get in each other's business, and people love interacting with people. Laurel can probably tell me how much comparison of a picture of your face or your kids' faces versus food. And nothing wrong with posting pictures of food. You got to do it sometimes, but people love people on social media. So you're going to get much better results from faces. And I'm not talking about, stock photos, sometimes you got to use them. If you can get a real face all day long.
Are we talking Facebook, Instagram stories? Where are we?
Anywhere you want to put it. Anywhere. Obviously right now, Reels and video is number one. So as much of that as you can do and make sure it's on your feed. You can actually opt to put it off your feed, but I don't know why you'd want to do that. Put it on your feed. Yeah, I would say as much of this that can be video, great, but I'd say at least once or twice a week on your feed if you can. What was my other one, Grace? Inspirational, educational. Did I say educational yet? No. Okay, educate.
You just said once or twice a week on your feed and that's it?
On the feed itself, yeah. Like
of a reel on there.
I would do video more than pictures if you can. Less than 4% of your followers actually, if you remember, okay, keep this in mind. People that follow you are the only people that can see what's on your feed. Everybody in the world sees on your video. So that means that Facebook and Instagram want you to use video. So as much as you can, use video. You get way better results on video. So I would just say as often as you can. It's harder to do, takes more time, but as much as you can. So educational is the last one. So once a week, educate. Something educational, and this does not have to be about you. And in fact, StoryBrand model teaches it's not about us. Educate them. It doesn't have to even be about the problem you solve. Let's just say you're serving HR directors. If I'm serving HR directors, I look at the most recent news about what's happening with recruitment, because obviously we're in this great resignation situation, and post something, statistic from entrepreneur.com or Forbes about that. So educate them, help them become more interested in what you're serving them. And I always, if you notice, the very last thing is promoting. So you can promote yourself one time a week. So instead of, I compare it to the conversation. So you have a girlfriend, went to high school with her, love her, and now we've tried to reconnect. And this is not a true story, but we can all find that person in our lives. And every time we go get coffee, she's trying to sell me Aflac. And I'm like, we were friends. Nothing against selling Aflac. I'm just saying, or Rodan and Fields or whatever, fill in the blank. Every time we go now, my whole mentality has changed about this person, and I don't want to go to lunch with her anymore because she's trying to sell me something all the time. The same thing applies for your social feeds. People are not going to be interested if you're trying to sell them something every time. Serve them. 4 out of every 5 posts. Serve, oversell. And then if you do have some more sophisticated tools, you're able to see, Hootsuite does this to a degree. This is a screenshot in Sprout Social. But you can actually see visibly spikes, and these reporting tools will show you your most popular content. Don't ignore that. Don't just send the report to your boss and say, here's how good I did this month. Look at the spikes. Mind the spikes. Look at your most popular content and replicate that. This is your plan for October. So do you mind if I take your sheet real quick? So look at this. She's got the whole month, pretty much. And throw in some stories and reels in between, and you got a whole month of content planned. Now you might have to do some work to dig in a little deeper to what you're going to educate on. But repeat this model every month, and then go look at your stats and see what people like, and then do more of that. It's kind of common sense, but we don't take the time to do that sometimes. So, okay, any questions about social media? Thoughts? How are we on time, Mary Stratton? Because we're about to get into Google and everything's going south. 10 minutes. Okay, we can do this. All right. So, unfortunately, in the world of digital media, if you are not on the first page of Google, ain't nobody going to page 4. It's just the way it is, So we serve our clients with an SEO offering, which is doing a lot of under the hood work that's very important to get them top of search on Google. This is not paid ads. This is organic Google search results. If you have a small business, or if you're managing marketing for your business, and you do not have a Google My Business profile, now it's called Google Business Profile. It used to be Google My Business. Now it's Google Business Profile. Yes, it changed its name. If you do not have one, which means if you Google yourself and that little box doesn't come up that has call, website, directions, then do this today, right now. As soon as you get home, go do this. So this certainly applies to local business. You can also do this if your business is online or not local. You want people to find you. So to do that, you go to business.google.com. You have to sign in with a Gmail account. So if you don't have one, create one. And then you can create your Google business profile. Put photos in there. This is kind of like Google's way of knowing who's exists and who's relevant. So add photos. There is a link in your Google business profile that's shortened that allows you to send it straight to your customers for a review. You can send that to them. You can post content to Google. There's actually a post section where you hit post and you can post regular content. Again, this is just letting Google know, hey, we're here, we're alive, we're relevant. And Google is kind of king, y'all, I'm just saying. No disregard to Yelp, or whoever, what's that, Bing, yeah. Add photos, ask for reviews. Create a process in your customer experience where you ask for reviews and you send them the link. I'm gonna show you an example of a clinic in just a minute, how to do that. On your website, to help you with SEO, if you have an About Us page, a Contact Us page, and one page that says what you do, but you really have 10 services, you need a services page for every service. That lets Google know we do a lot of things. Do you have a question? No. Okay, yeah. So if you have, let's just say you're a dermatologist and you offer a dozen different services, you need a services page for every service on your website. Create a blog if you have the time to do this. This is very hard upkeep, but again, another way to stay relevant. If you have a blog, you can add to this sheet blog post feature, blog post feature, blog post feature, and promote that on your social media as well. And then know your numbers. You can, once you have a Google Business profile, you can also create a Google Analytics profile by going to analytics.google.com. And that will show you this is an example of the post, but that will show you how many people are coming to your website every month, where they're coming from. And similar to social media tracking, you can also track those numbers and month over month see how you're growing. This is an example of, this is kind of gross, sorry, but this is an example in your Google business profile. You see posts right there. You can click that, and this is the kind of post that we're doing for some clients of ours, but you can actually post content here as well. And this is an example of your Google business profile, if you didn't know what I was talking about. And, oh yes, pro tip. So if you are a marketing decision maker making marketing decisions with agencies and things like that in your company, just be aware. I've found there's a wide variety in what SEO means. And I have seen people really get ripped off on an SEO purchase. It can be a very useful tool, but changing a couple keywords on a website is not necessarily, you can call it SEO, but just make sure you ask your vendors, can you give me reports of what you're doing every month? Just a tip. This is an example of a clinic that we serve here, Mississippi Reproductive Medicine. This is at their front desk. So if you have a customer-facing office or clinic or whatever, you can put, Amazon has these really nice 5x7 frames. You can put a card like this that you create on Canva, ask them to leave a review. If you're able to do it, you can put a bowl out there and say, hey, if you leave a review, leave us your business card, we'll draw, that kind of thing. So just a good incentive. Also, putting that review link from Google Business Profile in the bottom of your emails. Again, if you have an automated process where you're sending somebody something after an order, send them your Google review, things like that. The Google link. And again, this is an example of Google Analytics, the kinds of things you look at. But you can look right here and see organic search means people are finding me by searching for a solution to a problem. We want more of that. You want you want to see organic search grow. Direct means they found us by Googling our name. Referral, they found us from another website and clicked on over. Social media, obviously social media. Affiliate sites, I really don't even know what that means. Somebody else in the room probably does. But it was just 9, so we don't worry about that. Okay, so sessions, page views, these are all the things. And of course, when you see spikes, what did I do on social media that day? What did I do? You want to mine the spikes. And then, any questions on SEO? That's a beast. It's a lot. Am I boring y'all? Everybody good? Good, thumbs up? Okay. Okay, so when you have, getting all that in place, let me just say, is hard and takes time. So don't feel like because you haven't started a campaign for SEO, you are behind. I would say sometimes people sit in the no phase of their business for 10 years. Get it right before you have the expectation. I tell this story, Grace is probably tired of me telling it. But I tell this story all the time. I had a bank CEO, a 9-location bank, come to me and say, we got to be on Google, like LinkedIn. We got to be on LinkedIn. We need ads. And I'm like, I'm not your girl because your website's garbage. So I'm not going to drive someone to a website that doesn't effectively communicate what we're doing with an ad that we're paying for someone to click on if we don't have the foundation in place. Does that make sense? So just think through that as I guess if there's anything you could leave here with, just think through what phase you're in and realize, let's get this perfected before, or make sure we're giving this a full best shot before we start trying to grow and scale. There are some things, obviously digital ads, but again, making sure that if you are running an ad campaign, and a lot of times people come to me and, the boost. We all love the boost, boosted post. But before you pay to boost something, just think about what your objective is. Like, what am I trying to do? Because I think a lot of times expectations of the boost are high, but nobody really thinks, what do I want the end game to be? And then you're like, I don't even know if the boost worked because I didn't know what my objective was. Like, did we try to get form fills on a website? Did we try just to get more visibility about an event coming up? Make sure you know what you're going for going in so that you're not disappointed. Because a lot of times people just boost like crazy and don't really know what they're trying to do. All of this ties into a focused marketing plan. It's almost the 4th quarter. It's a really good time to start planning for the next quarter. This means planning out content themes. In January, what's our theme? In February, what's our theme? In March, what's our theme? And make sure that it all ties back into that brand message. You can start doing some of this work now. And then when you get really sophisticated, you can do things like lead generation, which are email campaigns and things that Erin and her team does to really, and you may already be serving your audience with an email, and that's amazing and great. But again, these are some examples of lead generation type emails where you get, if you're sending to new businesses, new potential ICPs is what I call them, ideal customer profiles. You can go identify them in a software like ZoomInfo. Very expensive. Depends on how big of a company you are as to whether or not you can support it. But then start sending content to likely buyers and then tracking that through a CRM tool like HubSpot or something like that. And then you can start looking at this type of data, which is, here's how many meetings we're setting. When you really scale, when you have all the foundation in place, you can start looking at this. And some of you may never want to be here, and that's okay. But this is when you have like a whole sales team delivering for you lead generation stuff. So again, I told you we're not going to talk a whole lot on that. So a good little wrap up, a good way to audit yourself as you go into planning for next year. Do we have consistency in our branding and messaging? How we talk about ourselves, from the CEO to the janitor, is what I always like to say. Like, is everybody here in alignment on who we are? Does everything look the same? Or do we have some things that aren't aligned from a visual standpoint? That means website, that means collateral materials, social media, headers. Are our headers the same? Does this header look like this header? That kind of thing. Do we actually have a marketing strategy? What are our goals? Again, don't boost something. Don't start the year without a plan. Maybe the plan will pivot, but get the plan in place. And then do we have the appropriate people in place to meet those objectives? If not, then you got to think about hiring or outsourcing. And then do we want to scale the business? Maybe we are happy with the way things are. A lot of people are like, grow. Well, maybe what we did last year is good for next year. Think about that, because a lot of times you don't think about that, and we all get in a frenzy about our goals, and we really realize, well, what we did last year was great. We can do it again, So just make sure you ask yourself these questions. What would that look like? Is my business even ready for it? Do we just want to do 5% better than last year? Kind of really think through those types of goals. And then if, I told Mary Stratton this was a lunch that we had a while back, and Grace had mentioned she's got, I feel like the marketing professionals that's not necessarily a trained marketing professional, this is a growing thing. People are winding up in marketing jobs that maybe aren't trained, or you started your own business and you're not trained. So I'm open to continuing some sort of conversation and training, and there are a lot of people in the room that I'm sure could help contribute to that, for accidental marketers. So if you know of an accidental marketer, if you want to scan this from your phone right now and give me your information, there's the potential for us to start something kind of on a regular basis, just to do some training and feedback and that type of thing. So I'd love to have your one of our core values, and really our purpose at the Business Growers. We serve tech companies, but we want to empower women, which aligns with the source and what they're doing. So we want to make sure that we help do that as best we can. So if y'all are interested, please give that a scan.
Anybody have any questions? We've got a few minutes for Q&A if somebody wants to ask something specific.
Yes.
Hey, I'm Katie with Big Plus.
Hey, Katie.
We have recently acquired a new bank, and we're really excited. We're going into markets that we've never been before. Big Plus is really, really well known here, but we've got some of our marketing department here. What's your advice to them to make sure we maintain the integrity of our brand in these new states?
Yes. I would assume you have brand standards. So the very first thing I would do is do an all hands, and you probably already have some all hands employee kickoff thing. Make that a part of your process, your new launch. Like, you can go ahead, honestly, and build a new geo playbook. Like, anytime you have a new launch somewhere, or a new branch somewhere, have your playbook in place. So that would be a great thing to go ahead and do. Like, here's what we do first 30 days, here's what we do. So basically a 90-day plan where you can entrench everyone in that building into your culture. It would start with brand standards. I think it would also start with, do's and don'ts of what to, if you're going to post anything on social media about us, here's what's okay, here's what's not. It's probably in the handbook, but just a refresh, because not everybody reads the handbook. So something like that, here's what's okay. And also, I really feel like, and I'm sure Bank Plus is great at this, but we're going through a similar situation with one of our clients. I really feel like making employees feel like celebrating it, because an acquisition can be such a scary thing. So marketing is really the cheerleader for this, and you are really the people that put people at ease about their job shifting. So as much and as quickly, celebratory event at the very beginning, figuring out how to make the brand culture association fun, then that gives them the opportunity to enjoy it and not feel like everybody's job's at risk. And but I would say, I have for another client we work with what we call a brand standard operating procedure, which is a PowerPoint and a kit, kind of, whether it's promotional items that we give them on the first day or something like that, a big rah-rah. But we actually say, okay, here's how, if you want to upload and I don't know if you guys do this, but if you want to upload a social media header that has our branding on it, here's how you do that. Here's what that looks like. If you want to order marketing materials, like if you want some swag, here's what that looks like. That type of thing, and go ahead and get that kind of taken care of up front. I don't know if that helps, but that's, yeah.
Yes, Greg.
I'm Grace. I'm also with Bank Plus. So a lot of in our recent acquisition, a lot of the mortgage originators have been interested in lead generation. Is there any studies or numbers on what industries that actually works in? Because my initial reaction has been for a mortgage, when I did my mortgage last year, it was no, but I worked at that, so it's we got them all. But I don't know that I would have done something as big of a mortgage as a mortgage.
Right.
Of a random.
Right. Well, I will say we have clients that are using lead generation for multi-million-dollar purchases. It's a artificial intelligence software that people like Fortune 500 only are purchasing. So, it works. Most of what I do is B2B. So, I don't know how it plays into, and there may be other people in the room that know how it plays into the residential buyer. Most of what we do, or the team that we work with that supports this, is delivering an email to a title more so, we need to send all these emails to an HR person. I would say usually the response in terms of, it varies on industry, but the response, you have to set your expectations low for email, but remember what you're spending versus a purchase. Let's just say if we get 2 or 3 purchases a month, this pays for the whole program. So you really have to evaluate that. On the consumer side, I really honestly don't know a whole lot, so I don't want to lie to you. But we look at an average between, if we're sending 30,000 emails a month, we look at maybe 5 or less closes from that. So you kind of have to figure out whether or not it's worth it. And a lot of people end up realizing, hey, this isn't worth it for our business, and what's better is the networking groups and you kind of have to know your audience. In Mississippi, those networking groups go a long way. Maybe if you're in upstate New York, maybe a little different. I don't know. So you kind of have to know your market too. Another thing you said about launching your brand, I want to make sure I mention this too. I know your team, I'm sure, is doing this, but as soon as you have a new location somewhere, setting up that Google My Business profile. If you have a physical business, Google will send a postcard and ask for a code. That's number one as soon as you have a new location to do. So I'm sure they know that.
2 over here too.
Mm-hmm.
What about email frequency? I know the rules on social is, not everybody's going to see everything you post. So
Yeah.
Your frequency is obviously better. Do the same rules apply for email?
And I'll say your email, your folks that you have access to email, that's a much more personal play. Again, Aaron, you probably want to speak to this too, but for me, I have some people that I never want to get emails from, and some people, Highland Park can text me every day. I love their clothes. I'm not going to always go in there and buy, but I'll always want to know. Boutique, stuff like that, I love getting text messages from. I think it just depends on how engaged your consumers are. And from an email standpoint, if they're on your email list, they want to hear from you, I think. So do you have any other thoughts on frequency?
Yeah, it depends on what kind of business. What kind of business do you have? It's insurance or risk management. Okay, so if you're a retail business and you're getting new
Inventory.
You're getting new inventory, you can email your people every day.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy, but you can email them every day. In your kind of industry, I would say
Mm-hmm.
The way that you want to think about email is this. Are people going to open every email? Not a chance. But are they going to see your name come through their inbox?
Yeah, brand equity, yeah.
So when a time comes and they go, I do need insurance, your name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Insurance, then they go, oh yeah, I'm going to call so-and-so.
Yeah.
Because
It's a brand building exercise, yeah. And I would just say, like, too, make sure that you're offering fresh value if you're doing it weekly. If you're sending the same thing and rearranging content every week, maybe not. But if you have something new and fresh to offer, then yeah.
So we use constant contact for our email bursts, and we have a lot of trouble with it coming to a third-party server and being rejected and things like that. We've got a group we're looking at that overlays Outlook for those.
Uh-huh.
Is there another, and that may be from financial services.
Yeah, and email's not really, again, I outsourced that to another girl that I use, so I don't know. I know you're going to have that with whether it's MailChimp, whether it's Constant Contact, and any other email supplier. I'm sure there are companies that do that. I just don't know a whole lot about that. Does anybody else in the room know a whole lot about that? Do you?
Make sure there's verification processes. You can go through with Constant Contact to make sure your domain is verified. There's some baseline things there. Make sure you've done all of that, and then you still have issues. There's some kind of workaround stuff that
It sounds like there's a third party that does the Outlook workaround. I just don't know much about that.
Yeah, well, our IT group has come in and it's on the back end to get to do the
Yeah.
language, but it's still like there are a lot of firewalls.
Yes.
Emailing and there's bounce.
When I know in HubSpot, you can pay extra in HubSpot to get through. Like HubSpot has like it's so expensive, but it has like capabilities, and then you can like amp up and pay a lot more to get through the firewalls. But it's like.
like you bought is cold emails, or you bought a list and you're trying to email people versus people opting in. If people opt in, you should not have near as many issues.
Yeah.
If you're purchasing lists and then trying to cold email, that's where you can run into a lot of
Yeah.
issues. So depending on the situation you're saying.
Anybody else? I think there was, did you have a question? I thought I saw your hand go up. Sorry. Anybody else? Well, Laura is going to be around for just a few
Yes,
minutes
I'm staying here.
afterwards, So
Please come by.
If you want to have a one-on-one chat with her, please feel free to do so. Rebecca and I were talking earlier about feedback, and if you have some feedback for today, there's a little black little folded note at your place setting. If you would fill that out, we just love to know, like, did you enjoy this? Is there something that you really resonated? Is there a speaker that you'd like to hear from? Is there a topic that you'd like to learn about? Please let us know. If you're a guest, we would love for you to register via our website, thesource.net, and that way you'll be kept in touch of all of the event releases and all kind of new stuff that we talk about, and we'll let you know about our podcast too. So thank you again, everyone, for being here. Feel free to come ask Laura some questions afterwards, and we're so thankful that y'all are here today. So thanks so much.
Love it. And great.